Nostalgia Street invites you on a retro ride that's more than just a trip down memory lane.
Uncover life lessons and personal growth stories that stem from our collective past.
So you can live a richer, more connected life today.
Whether you're a 90s kid, an 80s teen, or simply young at heart, you'll find something to relate to in each episode.
Now, here are your hosts, Vince and Jeff. All right, welcome back to another episode of Nostalgia Street, where we tell the stories that shape us. And today, we have a friend of the studio, Maggie Miller, realtor extraordinaire. We'll get into her in just a little bit. But as usual, we're going to throw it to Vince for a quick fire question.
All right, Maggie, digging into your history of pop culture.
Okay.
Here's the question I have for you.
Okay.
Let's take Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Taylor Swift. We drop them off on an island with no supplies. Who survives the longest?
I think Taylor Swift.
Really?
I think Taylor Swift probably survives the longest. Poor Britney. I think she's just maybe not able to survive outside of a paper bag anymore. Christina, I don't know. Christina's a little scrappy. Like, her song Fighter, like, I think that she's a little scrappy. So it could be between Christina
and Taylor.
Ex-Tina and Taylor.
Ex-Tina, we're bringing out the old Tina.
I think Taylor she texts her fans and they air supply.
I think
or drop supply.
She'd write a song about it. She'd have she'd survive it and write a song about it.
Well, she's also the youngest.
Yeah.
So she's got to be there. How old is Britney now?
Leave Britney alone.
Yeah, sorry, Britney.
I don't know how old Britney Spears is anymore. I don't know.
How old is Nick Carter? Because they're the same age.
I lost track of her in her conveyor ship or whatever.
Yeah, what do they call that? The governance?
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
All right, so we're going to do a quick little promo tease away sponsorship deal. We'll get back into this. So today's sponsor, as always, is Forefront Studios. We're here in our brand new studio space in downtown Sioux Falls. And at Forefront Studios, we like to create content for our clients to fuel their digital content success. So if you or anybody you know is looking for a way to kick out extra content for Facebook, for your social medias, for your TV shows, what have you, give us a call on our website, forefrontstudios.com. Let's get back to the show. So, Maggie, by the way, I guess let's do a little behind the scenes, shall we, Vince, today?
Sure. What does that mean?
Behind the scenes. There's somebody behind you. We do send, for all of our guests, we do send out like a little bit of a questionnaire. So we get a little bit of a update on some of the goings on of childhood memories and things like that. So you'll see us from time to time kind of peruse that, but we also have a list of a couple hundred questions.
It was lengthy,
popular.
and it really made me think a lot. That was probably the point.
Really good answers. But we do have a list of another 150 questions or so about things that happened as child. Did you play with Legos when you were a child?
I did play with Legos. I have a younger brother, and so my younger brother was always getting like the cool Lego sets, but when I was allowed to touch the Legos, I did enjoy playing with Legos. My mom still has them. Actually, Isaac, my 6-year-old, plays with them at her house now. So,
what's the age difference between you and your brother?
Yeah, I am about 3.5 years older.
Did you beat down on him all the time?
I did until he got bigger than me, and my parents always told me that it was going to happen. They always told me like he's going to
one day
get bigger than you, and he will probably like reverse this role, and we're probably not going to stop him, and they didn't. So I stopped.
Did you have your friends come over on Friday nights and then you guys put makeup on him and stuff like that?
No, not that I really remember. We did make him play like house and stuff with us, but I've never really been like big into the makeup and stuff. So
all right.
So did you traumatize him in any way?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's been some trauma on the show.
Sibling trauma that people have revealed.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you ask him, he would have a different answer.
That's always what happens. We're not privy to those therapy sessions.
Yeah, let's not do a therapy session.
So did he ever date any of your friends?
No.
Okay.
No.
They were too old?
Yeah.
All right.
And he had a totally different friend group than I did too.
Sure.
So,
Well, did you date any of his
yeah,
friends?
no.
Okay. All right.
They were all like so young to me.
Well,
Because 3.5 years, that's like almost 4 years difference
Yeah.
in school.
well, when does being a cougar, like at what age do you become a
Not
cougar?
till you're like 50.
Oh, okay.
I'm not there
okay.
yet.
All right,
So
all
I
right.
feel like,
Okay, this went.
yeah, I think you
It
don't
always
hit
has to
like
go
a
that way.
cougar until you're 50, in your
All right.
50s.
So what were some of those favorite songs, like some song that just lives rent free in your mind? From your
so I was
childhood.
thinking about this when I was filling out that questionnaire, and I love all kinds of music.
Yeah.
Like growing up, we would ride in my dad's pickup with him, and he always had 92.5 KTWB on,
Okay.
or KQRS out
And
of
this is
Minneapolis.
There we go. Okay.
And so it was like the old rock, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and back then it was like old rock was like the Rolling Stones and the Doobie Brothers, and
Yep.
they played all of that like genre on KQRS. And so I grew up with like hearing like the stuff that was popular in the 90s, early 2000s, stuff like that. Introduced to like country music
Okay.
by my classmates and stuff
Yeah.
in probably like middle school. So then that kind of fell in. So I love all kinds of music. I currently have like my Pandora set to 90s
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah.
And so I always laugh like when Miley Cyrus's song Flowers came out. I don't know if you're familiar.
Okay.
It's like
Yep.
a breakup song.
Yep.
But I thought like, isn't that so cute that like this generation has Flowers by Miley Cyrus, and I had like Alanis Morissette, right? Like the breakup songs by Alanis Morissette. I'm like, oh, this generation's so cute.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's
Alanis
cute.
went dark.
Yeah,
didn't
she
she?
was dark. Yeah,
Went
she
really
was
dark.
dark.
What was the
Brutal.
most replayed song on your playlist?
I had one of those like stereos with the 6 CD changer, like that you could put
Yes,
6
that's
of them
bougie.
in at a
That's
time.
pretty bougie.
And I had everything from like Joan Osborne. Remember Joan
Sure.
Osborne? Like,
Yeah.
What If God Was One of Us? Do
Yeah.
you don't, you're so young.
Nope, sorry.
So I had everything from like Whitney Houston to Joan Osborne to like Nirvana
Yep.
in my 6 CD. So I don't feel like I had like one song.
Did your 6 CD changer ever get stuck? Like
It's like
one of them just stuck?
you couldn't figure out which one though.
Right,
Like you couldn't
right.
figure out which one. So you took all of the CDs out and you were like wiping them on your shirt and like gently putting them back in. Yeah, yeah. Like the Nintendo games where you like blow through.
What was your first CD?
I think my first CD was either the Jagged Little Pill album from Alanis
Allison,
Morissette,
yeah.
which was completely appropriate for like a 12 or 13-year-old. I'm sure my mom had like no idea. Probably either Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill or probably like Brandy, like sitting up in my room. That
Randy, all right.
yeah.
So you were, if I remember my age range, you were a first generation CD user, right?
Yeah, my
Like,
dad
those just came out.
My dad still had his record player.
Yeah, yeah.
Every once in a while, he'd put on like the Don McLean, like American Pie,
Yep,
or
yep.
yeah.
Now, did you amass your collection by going to the store, or did you go through
I loved
Columbia
Sam
Records and
Goody.
tapes?
Like,
Okay, Sam Goody. All
Sam
right.
Goody. Like,
All right.
we used to go to the mall when the malls were
What's
like,
Sam Goody?
oh, Sam Goody was like a multimedia store, right?
Yeah,
like
it was like
CD.
Best Buy.
I thought
long
that was an
ago.
artist.
No,
No.
no, it was like a record store.
Okay,
So you could go buy like your favorite bands, like merch,
like an FYE type deal.
or yeah. But I do remember they had those like mail-in,
Yeah,
the
Columbia
mail-in.
it was usually
So
Columbia.
yeah, you go down the list and like check the ones you want and mail it back in, and then they
They
mail
didn't
you
have
your
that's
CDs.
before you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the-
Postage. You had to use postage
Yeah.
on your.
But the ad in the magazine or the newspaper, you could get like 13 for a penny.
Yeah.
But then you had to buy so many back in a certain
Yeah.
amount of time, and that's where you found out that they
$47
charged a little bit more. Yeah, $47
for 3
for a CD.
CDs, probably. Yeah.
But it was
Gosh.
sweet when you got them because you got 13 CDs all at the same
Yeah.
time. or
I think
tapes.
my first CD was a Backstreet Boys CD that you got at Burger King.
Right, in the Happy Meal.
In the Happy Meal.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to probably get closer because you're
See,
you're swaying back.
in Happy Meals in my day, it was like you got like the little squeeze toys. It wasn't like anything cool. So
I was wondering about
I didn't
that.
get CDs in my
Happy
Happy
Meals.
Meals. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what other CDs like were in my six. Janet Jackson's Design of a Decade.
Yep,
Like for
yep.
sure, taking you through mid 80s to mid
Janet,
90s.
sure.
Yeah, Dave Matthews. I had Dave Matthews
Yep,
in there.
yep.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Is this like one of those big boom boxes with those big ass?
It wasn't
big
that
batteries?
big. No, it was like one of those like nice, perfect square ones that had tapes on the bottom and then your radio tuner in the middle with like your CDs.
Oh,
Yeah,
The CD had a big drawer that came out and you had to
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah,
hit the button to like flip it to get it to the next one.
the big boom boxes were like in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And then the 90s, they
I couldn't put it on my shoulder. It
Well,
had too many
scratch.
wires in the back. Like it had too many
Well, the
like
CD player, you got to
Okay.
keep it level.
yeah. Yeah. I had one in my car. Like when my car, they
Yeah.
didn't put CD players in the car, so you had to use the tape, but you had the portable CD player. And every time you'd hit a bump, it would like skip. So you
Yeah.
tried to wrap it in like a blanket or like something to keep it from.
That's right.
You're
Oh, gosh.
looking at me like I am
Foreign
from
country.
a different century. Like,
Just
yeah.
look back. Well, let's look at him like that. I totally remember that.
Yeah. See,
I had a pretty smooth
you have no
trans-
nostalgia right now.
I mean, my transition is a little bit of CDs, and then it was like Napster.
Napster, yeah, that was like college. That was like my
Yeah.
freshman year of college,
Those
and
were the
everybody was like
2000s?
LimeWire, with
Yep.
like yeah,
Kazaa.
the mixtapes, the mixed CDs were like the best. Yeah,
Yeah.
horrible quality
So
songs.
did you have cassette tapes at all?
We did a little bit. I remember my mom had a Walkman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she had like tapes to go on her Walkman, but not. I mean, I don't think I really had any tapes of my own.
So what about like VHS?
Totally had tons of VHS.
yeah.
Yeah.
And was
Disney.
Blockbuster, that's probably too early, or was it? I don't remember.
No, so I grew up in a town of like 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And so we had this appliance store in our town where
Yeah.
the guy like sold and did appliance repair and all that kind of stuff. And then he had like video rental
Okay.
like
All right.
in the corner of his shop. So you could go, and every Friday night, my grandparents owned a restaurant in downtown Lake City. And so Mark's shop, the appliance video store, was like
Yeah.
right across the street. So every Friday night we would like go eat at my grandparents' restaurant because they did fried chicken and fish fry every night,
Yeah.
every Friday night. So we'd do that, and then we'd go rent a movie and go home. And if they didn't have the movie you wanted there, you'd check the grocery store, you know, like the grocery store had like video rental too.
They got into
So-
that. So
Yeah.
what was the most played VHS tape in your house?
Oh, Top Gun. I
Yeah.
loved Top Gun.
Yeah.
I still love Top Gun. Yeah. Again, very appropriate for like a 12, 13-year-old, right?
Yeah,
Like,
totally
It's
appropriate.
fine.
They brought it back. Top
Yeah.
Gun 2.
Yeah, I was so excited.
So let's see, that came out when I was in high school, so I'd been around for a while.
Yeah.
That was mid 80s,
Well,
I suppose.
apparently there's like an uptick in baby boy names. Maverick this year.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, yeah.
I know like 3 couples who've named their kid Maverick.
Totally. Yeah, I do too.
And I said, there's only so many baby-ators I can buy.
Yeah. Did you see my Halloween costume last year? I was Maverick. My husband Andrew was Goose, and then our at the time 5-year-old was Rooster.
Oh,
So with the
That's
remake, yeah, it was totally. They had their
you're
aviators
going
and
to have to send us
mustaches.
that picture so we can
I
put it.
will. I
Well,
will.
yeah,
I'll send
we'll
it
put
to you.
this in the video version.
It was
of this.
amazing. You know, and Andrew's in the Air Guard. And the Air Guard here in Sioux Falls, they have this like little mini jet
Yeah.
that they used to use in parades and stuff. The recruiters would use it, and they would like take it to small town parades. And you can actually, it's got like a little joystick, and if you can start the engine up, it actually like goes, and you can
Is that
steer
like the size
it.
of like a car then?
Like more of like a really long go kart. It's got like
Okay.
a go kart motor in it.
So it's
like
like,
a
one of
lawnmower.
okay. Like those like mini Jeeps for
Yeah,
kids. But
no,
like
it's cool.
triple the
I'll
length.
send you the picture. It's really cool.
So
We
what was
need
your,
one of
what was
those.
your
The kids
second
loved
most
it.
played VHS tape?
My second most played VHS tape. Gosh, I liked a lot of the Disney stuff.
Yep.
Mary Poppins is actually my favorite Disney movie.
All right.
We went to Disney World earlier this.
The original Mary Poppins.
The
right?
original Mary Poppins.
All
So
right.
yeah, there's a remake
Yeah.
or sequel
No,
or something.
the original. Yeah.
And when you say that,
Yeah.
I'm starting to sing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in my head, but that was a different movie.
No,
right?
that is the isn't Chitty
Chitty
Chitty Chitty. Isn't that
There goes our-
movie?
there goes our
that
rating.
one,
It's a different
isn't-
movie.
That is
Yeah,
its own
it is.
movie.
Dick Van Dyke in both.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was who's the Mary Poppins? What's her name? Julie Andrews?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was she in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang too?
No, I don't think so. I
Well,
don't think so.
Gosh, I just put those
No.
two together in my head right now. I can't
Yeah.
separate them right now.
Yeah, no, Dick Van Dyke was the chimney cleaner.
Chimney sweeper.
Yep.
Chimney
Yeah,
sweep.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, Mary Poppins, was there a guy in that one too?
The
Barry Poppins?
No, the Jimmy Sweep was the main
Yeah.
lead.
No, that was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And Mary Poppins, what was the main person
Mary-
besides her?
That was the kids.
The kids.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And she was the maid, right?
Yep.
She's the nanny.
the nanny.
Nanny.
Yeah.
And maybe there wasn't a dude in that one.
No. Just a couple
Yeah, I mean,
like here and
Yeah,
there.
it was
But
I remember the husband and
yeah.
the wife, kind of.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
what
that
did
movie.
they do? You saw this movie so many times.
It was
Teach
so
us.
cool that she came in because the dad wasn't like around that much
Yep.
and the kids needed some like discipline and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So she
Okay.
kind of came in to teach them a couple things and whatever. And they go on this adventure. And so it was so cool. I think what I liked the most about it is it was like live people and then they integrated like the cartoons. Like it was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, I
this,
remember that now.
like, yeah.
That was probably one of
You're
the
like,
first
how do
movies
they
that
do
did
that? That's so cool, And so, yeah, they just go on adventure. She flew with her umbrella.
Her umbrella.
The wind would take her. Yeah,
Don't you have one of those?
yeah.
I just think of the new Marvel, was it Guardians of the Galaxy 2? And the one guy's like, "Hey, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all."
Yeah, what was it? Zandu.
Is he cool? Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
I was a fangirl at Walt Disney World. We saw Mary Poppins at Epcot when we were there like a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was like, I have to stop. I love
That's so
her.
fun.
those are good memories.
Yeah.
So what was something that you all did around the holiday time, for whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas? Was there any traditions that you all always did?
Yeah. So both of my dad actually and my mom were one of 6 kids. So they
Yeah.
came from big families. And so on my dad's side for holidays, I specifically remember Easter was always so much fun because my grandma would host Easter in the restaurant. They would like close it. And she had like a huge family too. So tons of like second cousins and all that kind of stuff. So we would just like take over the restaurant for the day. And all of these people that I only saw like once a year
Sure.
would come. And it was just super fun. But Christmas and or Thanksgiving, we would go to my grandma's house and all of my immediate cousins would come.
Yeah.
And we always got out Monopoly. Me and like my 4 or 5 older cousins
Sounds dangerous.
always got out Monopoly. And it would last like hours and hours and hours. And there were always like hurt feelings and somebody would cry. My brother
feelings.
has like the worst temper like growing up, and he totally, I think, almost like wanted to just flip the table. Like he was just one of
Wow.
those like
Earthquake.
yeah. So we always had to be careful with him. Like
Now we know why you're a realtor,
he's
because
fragile.
Monopoly.
Oh my gosh, my kid loves
Oh.
it. I come home and Isaac's
Good
like, "Can we
call.
play Monopoly?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm proud or if I just want to cry." It's
So
just like
did you have like a secret strategy that always
No.
worked?
no. Just buy as much as you can. It's like real
Buy.
life, Just buy, buy,
Oh,
buy.
buy.
Buy as much as you can.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, and sync it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and sync it. Yeah, that's
Did you have a favorite
always-
token?
I like the little Scotty dog,
All right.
the little
The
Scottish
sharp one. You
Terrier.
had to be careful.
Yeah.
His tail was sharp.
My Aunt Charlene had a Scotty growing up, and I loved that. His name was McDuff, and he was so cute. We called him Mac. Yeah.
I remember
so I
taking
think
the
that's
top
why-
hat and just taking my
Yeah.
pinky.
Yeah, or the thimble. Yeah,
Yeah,
like one
yeah.
of those.
Is there a
You ever did
T-Rex?
No,
Is there
There
what?
was. I thought there was a T-Rex for some reason.
I don't think there's a
for Monopoly?
T-Rex.
No.
No,
No.
just
Maybe
a
like
little
a
car.
special edition.
Yeah, yeah,
They do have other versions of Monopoly now.
they do.
that
Yeah,
are-
we just play those straight up, like not Monopoly Junior. With my 6-year-old, it's like straight up.
So
Full
how long would it
throttle.
take you to? Did you ever complete a full game?
I think we probably got close. I was never the winner, so I just gave up like halfway through and sold on my property and gave away my money. It's fine.
So what life lessons did you learn from Monopoly?
Don't take things personal. Just pay your rent and like move on. Pay your rent. Sell when you can. When somebody's offering, the first offer is almost always the best offer. That's true in Monopoly and real life. So it's
My life lesson was always hang on to your money.
yeah.
You can never go to the bathroom without taking your money with you for fear somebody grab it.
Park Place or bust.
That's funny. Yeah, Park Place or bust. Yeah, make sure you own both Park Place and
Yeah, those were always the hard ones. And then you had to negotiate with somebody, try to get them to sell you one or the other. I don't know. I always had the railroads.
Yeah, because if you own all
four of them,
or the utilities, people got to roll.
Always fell on them.
I know, it's perfect.
And then there was some other little rule that we came up with about rent or not rent, jail. Like there was something that my mom's friends did, and they would put money in the middle based on jail. And there was it was like a game within a game. I can't remember.
Bail? Were they like paying your bail?
I don't remember.
Or was it like
Could be
like take a shot, get out of jail?
Well, we were young kids.
You're
Vince.
7, it's espresso. Like, go home with your mother.
Yeah, give a 7-year-old a shot of espresso. He's up till Thursday.
That's terrible. That sounds awful.
We'll be right back.
So what we talked about the songs in the VHS. Was there like a favorite movie that you went to?
Do you guys remember what was the movie called? The Ring?
Yes.
Was it The Ring?
Was
and
that-
nobody could figure out if it was like real or if it was
Was it
made
the horror
up.
story?
It's a horror story.
7 days.
I don't remember what it was. I
The one
just
with the
remember.
VHS tape?
No, I remember going to it in the theater.
Well, the movie, is this the same? Because the movie I'm thinking of, there's like a haunted VHS tape. And when you put it into the player, within the movie, they tell you got 7 days.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I ever watched it on VHS.
That sounds familiar.
I just remember going to it in the theater like 5 times, like twice a weekend for like 3 weekends. Like it was
the same
The
show?
Ring. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because everybody was like, is it real? Is it not? Is it real? Is it not? I'm like, I don't know. I got to know.
What was the movie that was like it like blew your mind at the time?
Titanic
Okay.
blew my mind because I was in like middle school.
You were in middle. God, no.
And I'm like, this
I feel
takes up
so
2
old.
VHS tapes. Like it's so long.
He
It's
totally could have fit on that board.
Don't get me started.
Scientific
Vince.
analysis
He
proves it.
totally could
He
have.
totally could have.
She didn't want him
Rose
to.
is stingy.
She didn't want him to fit. She felt bad. She felt guilty.
So the girl that I dated that I took to that show, it was a train wreck. She goes, I'm like, well, how'd you like it? And she goes, it's okay. And I'm like, wait, just a second here. Like millions of people think this is the best movie ever, and I'm stuck dating the one person that doesn't like
Did you
it.
dump her? Have you
I
dumped
didn't.
her?
But she goes, I'm like, why didn't you like it? She goes, well, you kind of knew how it was going to end. I'm like, yeah, it sunk.
Thanks.
But what about the story? Like, was it a great story? It's all right.
Oh my!
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, what a dud.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
She liked love stories and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but why she didn't like that one, I don't know. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Good special effects. and
Yeah,
great
and you're like
story.
14. You're like, wow, this is cool. And then
I
you're
thought
like,
that was
yeah,
good.
it's still sunk, but it was fine.
14-year-old celebrity idol.
Probably Britney Spears because, when she came out and she had the pom-poms in her hair, you're like, that's so cool. Small town, I could be first. And then you go to school and like 17 other girls have the pom-poms in their hair. Like, you're like, okay, cool. Yeah.
So were there things that you had to do in junior high or high school that were, peer pressure? You had to dress a certain way or smoke or drink, or was there anything like that?
Not really. I kind of fell in between like the sporty girls, like the girls who played every sport like throughout the year, and the girls that were more concerned about like hair and makeup and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I was kind of a tomboy like through middle school. Like I just didn't really care that much about
So you were more of a sporty spice.
Sporty Spice, yeah. Like in between. Yeah.
What Spice Girl would Jeff be?
Hmm. is it Baby Spice? Like
Baby
she's so
Spice.
nice. Like so
Nice and pink and
Yeah, like not in your face, like scary Spice, but not posh Spice because she, got that like sunken in look.
So what
like
Spice Girls,
it's-
Vince?
Sporty Spice. Like you and I can share Sporty Spice.
usually I get Posh Spice, but I'll take Sporty Spice.
Posh, yeah, you're somewhere in between like sporty and
Okay.
posh. Yeah, it's good. It's a good place to be, like a nice medium. Yeah.
So what about books? What were there any books that you loved?
I loved the Goosebumps series.
There was a TV show too.
I think it's coming back.
Is it really?
I think I saw it, an ad for it on like Netflix or Hulu. I think it's coming back. Yeah. I loved the Goosebumps. When I was younger, like on the young side, I liked the Babysitter series, the Boxcar Kids,
Babysitter's Club. Yep.
some of those. Yeah, Babysitter's Club. Yep. But the Goosebumps was always popular.
Yeah.
The R.L. Stein kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked those. I've never been much into like the romance Danielle Steele kind of books. So
Those are Vince's favorites.
Cannot lie.
He ghostwrites for Danielle Steele.
Yep.
you do? Oh, that's so nice.
Totally does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I put out casting calls once in a while for those cover photos.
Yeah. Does it work? Do you get a lot of
You get some weird,
callbacks?
folks.
Yeah.
We make it work.
Yeah. You can
oh.
make anything work, actually.
Thank you.
I see that.
So books and along that lines, was there anything that was kind of like discouraged or banned or whatever? For example, like Harry Potter was banned in my school because witchcraft.
Really?
Oh
Witchcraft.
yeah, I know.
See, Harry Potter didn't come out until I was in like college. So we didn't have like I kind of missed the Harry Potter phenomenon. Like I watched all of the movies, but they weren't all that like memorable
Okay.
to me. I don't remember anything being like
Like anything
banned
that was taboo that you
or-
kind of had to sneak under the radar.
I mean, it was like 80s and 90s. I feel like nobody was offended by things and nobody was like feeling.
Did you go to church?
I did. Yeah. I was raised Lutheran
So
in an E ELCA.
my church, I think we talked about in another episode. Backward masking was like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so that's when, you could take your vinyl record and go backwards. And then
Yeah.
supposedly you could hear some stuff.
Yeah. Like, isn't it like Stairway to Heaven? They say that if you go backwards on the Stairway to Heaven
Yep.
song.
Devil's
it's-
Records?
Yeah.
Devil's Records.
I don't know.
Dun dun dun.
And I told this to Vince, I don't recall if I said this on air, but Def Leppard's Pyromania was like one of my favorites when I was in high school. And if you looked on one side, right where the record would end, it said, if you're gonna be a bear, and you flip it over and it would say you might as well be a grizzly. And I had a bunch of other vinyl records by my parents too.
Yeah.
That was the only one that I know of that had this little secret message to it.
Huh.
And I thought, what a poetic way to say "Go for Life"
Yeah.
from Def Leppard,
Yeah.
Joe Elliott and the Boys.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of cool.
Very inspiring. Yes.
What are you gonna go for Halloween now? Are you gonna be a grizzly?
I'm gonna be airline captain.
I think I have some plastic wings if you need
you.
like a backup
Yeah.
set.
Well,
yeah.
I'm doing rap karaoke and I'm gonna do the song Airplanes. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna dress up as an airline pilot.
Like which version of Airplane? Like which?
The Haley Williams
Not-
B.O.B.
Okay.
There's another one.
I mean, there's tons of songs about airplanes. I'm
Oh,
sure.
this
Yeah.
And waterfalls.
and waterfalls, chasing waterfalls.
Exactly.
TLC, loved
that's what
that
was in my
album.
head.
That was probably
Yeah,
one of my
there's
first
another one.
albums too. The Crazy Sexy Cool album.
I'm trying to think of another little question. Oh, I was talking to a friend of mine, and in the 80s, you had to call the radio station to
Yeah.
request your stuff,
Yeah.
and then you make a mixtape.
Yeah.
And then we talked about how you had to use a finger on play and a finger on record
To hold
push
it down. Yeah.
So, aside from that little example, was there anything that you did that at the time you thought it was only you, but then later on you found out like a lot of people actually kind of did that too?
You know, I saw that question. I don't remember how I answered that question in your questionnaire thing, but I think just like driving around out in the country And then there was always that radio show. I think it might still be on some of the radio stations, like Love Songs with Delilah or whatever her name is. Do you remember this? Like where you could call in and like request your
dreamy intro, and
it was like a very low, like soft, like yes, and you could like record your message to like your love. We didn't do that, but we would always like drive around and laugh about it. Like we would kind of like make fun of it.
Sure,
you know. You and your friends in the back seat would be like, "Oh, Vince, like I dedicate this song to you," and we would just like laugh, wait to see what song would come on. Yeah.
Did you listen to Casey Kasem's Top 40?
I did. Yeah, I loved the Top 40 on the weekends.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He had a good show. That was before your time too, wasn't it?
Because you're always like, "What's going to be number one?" He'd always have it like so dramatic. He'd get to the top 5, and then he'd always give you all of the like background story of the band or like the person who recorded it.
There was the drum roll, and for the 5th year in a row,
or he'd do the playbacks like this on this same weekend 10 years ago, and then he'd like have the like remembering the song that was
Well, okay, you asked this question too, but was there a song that your parents were like, "Oh, you cannot listen to that"?
There wasn't. There wasn't really like. Maybe my parents just weren't paying attention to me. Like maybe I do have trauma that we.
Like I couldn't listen to hip hop music because it was for degenerates and gangsters and all that. Yeah. And there was Linkin Park had that one rapper, and he started off. He did Fort Minor, and I remember listening to it. There was that song that was like. The NBA used it like 10% will da 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 da.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Remember the name or whatever. And I remember listening to it, and my mom's like, "You can't listen to that." And the words she used, I can't say on air.
Okay.
But I was like, "Mom, he's an Asian guy. I don't care."
Yeah.
Only degenerates.
You tried to justify it by saying that. Yeah, I don't ever remember having anything like that because I think that every time a song would come on like that, I would be the first one to be like, I don't want to listen to that in front of my mom. Like, oh no, like, you know, I'd be so embarrassed, like, to hear a song like that or have something come on TV like that. If my mom was watching, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Like, turn it off.
Do you remember the song? It's called the Pina Colada song by Rupert Holmes.
No.
If you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. Everybody knows that song.
Oh, yeah.
I totally thought that was like a Jimmy Buffett song.
No. Sounds like it though.
Okay.
But I went to we'd get $1 for allowance. And my sister usually go to Kmart and buy a little 45. And so anyway, my dad's like, "What do you got there?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a song by Rupert Holmes. What's it called?" Pina Colada song. "You can't buy that." I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "It's about fornication."
That term.
And then he had to explain to you what that was.
I'm like, "Dad, what's that mean?" Well, they're having sex.
I think it's about just reconnecting with like your significant other, right? Like,
I thought it was because I thought it was about talking about booze or something like that.
No, I think it's just about reconnection. Like
fornication.
Yeah.
What?
Fine.
What is that, Dad?
Horizontal connections.
What?
Yeah, Kmart. We had a Kmart like in the next town to the north of us, which was like the closest one where you could go to like shop and that kind of stuff. Yeah, Kmart.
Well, was there? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So I remember when Kmart had snacks.
They had like a full-on like Little Caesars.
What?
Corn dogs and ices.
Yeah,
ices. I remember ices.
Yeah.
Ours wasn't that big, I guess.
It's like a mini food court, like in the Kmart. Yeah. Shopko is another option that we had.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I know. It's all we have left is Walmart
and Shopko Optical, which doesn't make sense to me at all.
They're like made a comeback. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, was there like Vince asked you about this a little bit? Maybe I did, but was there any brands that kids said you had to wear or else you got made fun of?
What was trendy?
Yeah, the trendy stuff.
Nike, of course. Adidas was always kind of in there. Champion gear, which is like made a comeback.
That's a glow up right now.
Right.
That's bizarre.
It used to be like if you wore Champion, you were made fun of.
Right.
And now it's like everyone wants it.
But I feel like so many people in my school like wore it, so nobody kind of gave you a hard time for it. Jenkos. My brother wore Jenkos. Do you remember Jenkos? Do you remember like the huge pockets?
The wide pants.
Yeah. Like huge. I'm like, are they shorts or are they pants? Like I feel like they're made to be shorts for really tall people,
really
but like with the really, really deep pockets. Like you could put an infant in that pocket, like carry it around.
You gotta wear your Heelys.
Yeah. Yeah. What else was popular?
really
I don't know. I don't really remember. I was like, again, I was never really into the like cool stuff.
So how old were
Wasn't
you
cool.
when you knew, or at least had a hint, you might get into real estate?
Monopoly. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Monopoly
when I owned
mogul.
Park Place and the Boardwalk, like
Every
I just
time.
knew. I just knew. Stacked the deck. It was always good for me. When I knew I was going to get into real estate when I bought my first house here in Sioux Falls on the corner. It was like just off the corner of 49th and Marion. We had been searching for a while, like couldn't really find anything. It was 2008, and so the market like wasn't great for sellers. It was okay for buyers, but I just didn't like my agent. Like he just was not helpful. He wasn't all that friendly, and so I kind of thought to myself, if this guy can do it, anybody can do it. Like anybody can literally do this. It's not that I like enjoyed looking at houses. You talk to realtors and they're like, what do you like best? And you're like, oh, I just love looking at houses. And like, and I was at that point, honestly, just over it.
Right.
But I was driving through town after I moved into my house and I heard an ad on the radio. And this person is actually still in business. And so I won't say his name, but there was this ad on the radio and it said, if you're interested in real estate or interested in growing your real estate business, like, have I got a deal for you? You know, like one of those like radio ads. And I was like, wow, you know, I had been thinking about this. Like I had kind of discovered where do I take my classes and how does this work and things like that. So I called the radio ad. I wrote down the number and I called the number. And this guy was just so grumpy. And he was like, why are you calling me? I'm like, well, I heard your ad on the radio and I'm interested. Well, do you have a real estate license? Like, are you already licensed? And I was like, no, but I have my classes scheduled actually for next month. And, you know, I'm pretty excited about it. And he's like, well, I'm not interested. If you don't have any experience and you don't already have your license, I'm not interested. And I was like, okay, like no problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, he was just looking to grow his team. His ad, I guess, was supposed to be geared more towards like licensed agents. And so I'm like, well, if that guy can do it too, like I'm really going to be awesome at this, you know?
Game on.
I was like,
Do
okay.
it.
Took the classes, passed my tests, got my license, didn't know what to do. I was like, there was no great like mentorship until I met the first broker that I worked for. Her name is Diane Dahl. She's actually still an agent here in town. Super, super, super small office. There was like 3 of us in the office. And again, you know, this is back 2008, 2009 when foreclosures and short sales and banks were looking for people to do what's called BPOs, broker price opinions. And so she was like totally in on that game. She already had like her set up with housing and urban development, HUD. She was like listing all these bank owned properties. And she was an awesome mentor because she literally said to me, you're with me, you're coming everywhere with me, you're going to do everything I do, and this is how you're going to learn. And I was like, awesome. Like, that is awesome. I can't wait. So yeah, she was awesome. We did all these foreclosures, crazy experiences, like going through foreclosure homes before they were taken over.
Sure.
You know, so we had to do all of like the pre-work of like getting them cleaned out. I had a lot of encounters with squatters in properties. Just crazy things with the foreclosure market. So she was awesome. Like she got me on the right track and said like, this is how this business works. This is how your membership in this association works.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't even like pay for that kind of experience.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you
Like a
can't pay
full-on
somebody for that.
apprenticeship,
Like,
basically.
yeah, it was amazing.
So what did, like when you grew up, what did you want to be? What did you think you would end up doing?
So I kind of always wanted to be a teacher. I started when I graduated from high school, I started at SDSU in their early childhood education program. And that lasted like a year because I think when I went to school at SDSU at that time, their early education department was kind of under what they call their consumer affairs. which is like a huge hodgepodge of like different avenues. And so my eyes kind of got open more to like the business world through the consumer affairs, like through your economics classes and stuff like that. And I actually really enjoyed things like statistics and economics and stuff like that. But I also enjoyed like sociology, psychology, that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, I don't know if teaching is like the right thing for me. So I think like going to college and knowing that you had like options after you got there was kind of eye-opening.
You kind of teach now.
Yeah, no, I do. I love it. I teach adults. I don't have to, you know, God bless the people that like do early childhood education and elementary education, because I don't think that would have been a very good fit for me.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
So during that 2008 phase, the bubble.
The bubble.
When was it that you're like, okay, I think we're on the backside of this. Now things are going to get a little bit better. How long did it take?
You know, that's an interesting question, because when I moved to Sioux Falls, I knew no one.
Yeah.
I moved here. I didn't know anybody who lived here. And so getting into real estate, you start talking to people at open houses, or you go to like a chamber event and you try to introduce yourself to people. And I think every single one of us knows at least like 12 realtors in this area. There's so many of us. The market's like super saturated. A lot of my friends and family, when I told them that I was like getting into real estate in 2008, 2009, they're like, why? That sounds horrible. Like, have you looked at the news? Like, have you noticed that like no one's wanting to buy houses right now and houses are taking a long time to sell? I'm like, yeah, I've noticed, you know, but I think that ties into that whole like foreclosure experience and stuff like that, because I was so busy with that that kind of withheld me, you know, like sustained. But you know, just I got my very first client through an open house. They came through an open house and I just visited with them and, you know, told them how I could help them and things like that. But I told all my friends and family, I'm like, if I can't do it now, it's not going to be a long-term thing, because the market I know is very cyclical, and at some point we have to come out of it, right? Housing is something everybody needs. So let's figure it out.
We do.
So you're like one of those crazy folks who are like, when things are down, you're like, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
Buy on
People
the
were
dip.
like
Buy on the
running,
dip.
you know,
Buy
the
the
house
dip.
is on fire and people are running out of it. I'm like, let's go in. Like,
Would you like my offer?
yeah, like let's figure this out. Like everything's figure outable.
It's that monopoly
So
edge, you
it
know?
is. Yeah, it's
From wheeling and dealing and gaming the cousins.
pay your rent.
So is there a childhood lesson, something your parents may have told you, anything like that you're like, that you turn to it when things get rough?
I don't think there's any specific one thing that makes me like I don't think I ever had like an aha moment. My grandmother was super, super involved in our community growing up. I remember
The one that owned the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, they owned a bar restaurant. My grandma and grandpa owned a bar restaurant, and she was also like mayor of our town for like 8 years.
Like they owned the bar and they were the mayor. That's a lot of power.
Yeah, it was a powerhouse for sure. But she, you know, she was on the county commission, and I remember her driving to Winona, Minnesota pretty often, which about an hour drive, because she was on like a mental health board and she was so involved in things. And people had so much respect for her. You know, people had so much respect for my family growing up that when you say like, was there something that was forbidden or there's something, I think we just knew that you don't really want to stray from that path because of who we were.
Sure.
And I hate like saying that out loud, but, you know, I think when people said, well, who are you? Or they knew who you were. You answered the question of who are you? They're like, oh yeah, we know your grandma, you know, your grandma and your grandpa, or your mom and your dad. Both of my parents were born and raised in Lake City. my brother and I were both born and raised so we were like third or fourth generation.
So
Like
they're like the Duttons of Lake City.
The Duttons, yeah.
without the like, yeah,
we
without
didn't
the
talk
guns
about that.
and like the, but
You gotta.
it's just, I think, I don't know that, like I said, I don't think that there was like an aha moment, but just knowing who you were and where you were coming from and kind of what was expected of you
Yeah.
was enough.
Legacy, kind of living up to that legacy.
Do you think that shifted in today's society a little bit? That
I think so.
The younger ones, it's less about honoring the parents or the generations prior to, and
I think so. I don't want to sound like old and grumpy, but I think that there's just not as much pride in that, maybe.
yeah.
And maybe that's just me being separated from the small town. I don't think in a city like the size of Sioux Falls, it's maybe not as prevalent or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In a town of 5,000, everybody knows everybody's business,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you didn't want to be like,
Well, when you own the bar,
yeah, I know.
Sure.
I
Nobody
know.
asks you what you had for dinner because they already know.
I know. My grandpa had a jukebox in the corner of the bar. And so there's like my earliest memories of that are like standing on a chair in front of the jukebox in footed pajamas, playing like Elvis songs on the
Aw.
jukebox or Johnny Cash.
Do you know what jukebox is, Vince?
yeah, they have one now. They're in the bars.
They
They're,
have
they're
one
digital.
now.
It's not the
It's not the same,
It's not
but-
the. It's
So you
not the
put a
touch
quarter in. How many
tunes.
songs would you get for a quarter, Vince?
Well, I don't know. Based off inflation, maybe 3.
Two or three. I think we got 2 or 3 on the jukebox.
I know we got 2 for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
My favorite was the live version of Barracuda by Heart.
Yeah.
This pizza place I worked at, that was the go-to song.
Yeah.
We just turned that up after everybody left, and we'd clean and just jam at Barracuda
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah. So,
Those are good times.
yeah.
Let's take things down to a little bit of a serious path. Is there an instance, take us to it, where whatever age group it was, where you've just, something happened and you instantly just felt like a sense of regret?
Vince is building up his blackmail library still.
Don't give away the show secrets now.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all have like moments in our life like that. My big one was I was married previously before I was married to Andrew Miller. And I think it was like an instant regret. Like I got married when I was like 22.
Yeah.
Super young. Like I had just graduated from college. And I think it was just one of those things where I felt like it's just the natural progression, right? Like that's just what you do. It's just what happens. You graduate from college, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids,
Mm-hmm.
you work 40 hours a week. That's that.
Right.
It just is what it is, and I don't know if that's like an upper Midwest mentality.
Totally is.
Or I think that's shifted a lot.
Oh,
like
totally.
in my first time home buyers, I see
Yeah.
a lot of single people,
Yep.
young people, single people buying houses and like totally out of the norm.
Mhm.
I'm doing my air quotes for the people that can't like see this right now, but I see that shifting a lot too. The mindset.
More women
Yes.
home buyers, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, I had an aunt, and she was single for a long time, and she always lived in an apartment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
I see a lot
the
of
way the times
women
have changed.
career driven.
Yeah, yeah.
They're making bank, man. They're
Yeah.
out there like doing their thing and buying houses and supporting themselves. I don't know if it was just this like thought of I'll never make it on my own
Mhm.
or what it was, but yeah, I think that was definitely a point in my life where it was like instant regret. Like almost instantaneously. And I was like, oh gosh, like what do
So-
you do?
What do you regret, Vince?
There was a time where I'm pretty sure I pushed my brother down something, but I played it off as he just fell. And I feel like, I should probably be a better
Which brother?
Tony.
Okay.
Sorry, Tony.
Did he get hurt? Did you hurt him?
Yeah.
He was very sturdy as a child. He still is.
Oh, it's fine then.
Sturdy
Yeah.
as a child, like a weeble
See,
wobble.
look at I'm like airing my whole closet, like married, divorced, all these things, and Vince is like, I pushed my brother,
I didn't
and
know if
I'm
you were-
really sorry about it, Tony.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if you were going to go back to like how far back you were going.
How
but
far back? Go
well,
back.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I was just in Chicago this past weekend for a wedding of friends, and I remember telling them all, thank you guys for making me feel normal because you're just getting married in your 30s. You're just having kids in your 30s. Whereas back here, everyone is on their first divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to be fair for you, I was, let's see, I was 19 or 20 and I got engaged in college. And then 3 months later, thankfully,
Called it off.
it went south.
Yeah.
And I
See,
look back on
I wasn't
that,
brave enough to do it.
and
I
so-
wasn't brave enough. Like I remember thinking like, don't do it. But then being like, oh, I don't want to disappoint all these people that have like already put all this time and money and energy like into this. Yeah. That's
That makes sense.
as deep as I got, you guys. That's
Makes sense.
It's a big one.
But, there's the regret of her brother beating him down when she was younger.
I do
too.
regret that, Steven. I'm very sorry. As Vince is sorry to Tony, I am sorry to you.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
Beautiful moment. Gosh. Well, we are almost to a close. So I do want to always kind of offer up towards the end. We tend to do this. Like, is there any other childhood memory that just makes you smile, or that you wish that, other people could enjoy, or maybe they did enjoy? You just want to call it out.
Every year growing up, we would take a family vacation to Alexandria, Minnesota.
Yep.
We've been there.
I just loved it. That was like one of my
Right.
favorite childhood things, is just like spending a week on the lake, fishing, swimming, campfire,
Yep.
just like a week, You'd look forward to it every summer, and that was always fun. I had a hamster die in the back end of my dad's pickup one year. He wouldn't let me.
Gosh.
We had to take it with, because like, who do you have come feed your hamster when
Yeah.
you're gone for a week? And you wouldn't let it
Well,
ride
you
up in the cab. It was probably like 140 degrees.
See, that could have been your regret right there.
Yeah, it's his
Did you get
regret,
car
not my
sick?
regret.
What was the hamster's name?
Lucy.
Lucy.
She was little and
Oh,
gray.
man.
She was so
Oh.
cute.
I bet she was great.
She
Especially
was like
after.
purple after. Like, yeah. That's
Did you
not my
ever have a
regret. That
hamster?
should be my dad's regret.
No, didn't have very many pets. We had a couple dogs that we didn't really care for very well. So sorry.
Oh, great.
Your regret.
happened to
See, your
them?
regret.
It was more like Tony wanted a dog, so we got a dog, and he never took care of the dog. The dog never got trained, so we just lived outside and never built a relationship with said dog.
Did they ever get fed?
Yeah, we got fed, and
Okay,
it didn't get
all right.
on walks, but it
Just
would run
don't get
away,
loves.
and then
Don't
it
get
just ran away.
loves.
I would too.
Wow.
Jeez, poor guy. We had a hamster named Thumper,
Oh.
Thumper.
because he would thump against the
Did he,
side.
did he have
of
a buddy named Bambi?
He would have if we would have bought another.
If Jeff would have taken care of it, his
Yeah.
mother would have gotten a second hamster.
But I'm probably like Tony though. Like it was my job to dust the living room, and my sister would do some other chores. And one day, Thumper stopped thumping, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I remember taking my little duster and I kind of poked at him. He was hard as a rock.
Probably dead for 4 days.
And then I took the lid off, and all the ammonia.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
knows how long it's been since
Yeah.
we
Quick
cleaned
shout
his
out to our
cage.
friends at PETA. No hamsters were harmed in the filming of this podcast.
Yeah, nor dogs.
Nor dogs.
That's true. All right, well, let's bring her to a close. This is usually where we take turns. Vince, you want to close her out?
Sure. Well, thank you, Maggie, so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of fun. A lot
I
of
This was
wish
fun.
you
fun.
would share with us your Monopoly strategies, but that can be a premium
I'll
add-on
send
later.
you an email that you can open for $4.99.
There. See, she knows it. We got to monetize this somehow.
But we got a code from Tori.
Yeah, we got a code with Tori. We got a
Tori,
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah, we got a code for playing Mike Tyson
so
Punch Out.
so on our show notes on our YouTube channel, you'll find all this stuff and more. If you need to find Maggie's info because you're looking for a new home or whatever, you'll find that there as well. Until next time, viewers and listeners, stay curious and stay engaged, and we'll see you on Nostalgia Street. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. If you're on iTunes, please take a moment and leave us a rating and review.
Head on over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. You'll get access to engaging visuals that complement our podcast content.
Thanks again for tuning in, and we look forward to having you with us on our next episode. So until next time, listeners, stay curious, stay engaged,
And never stop walking down Nostalgia Street.